Hey guys, welcome back. It's Josh Coles. I've had a lot of questions recently about toolboxes. What is it going to take to ship them overseas? What tools are you taking? How are you doing it? And so I thought I'd answer all of those, or at least the questions that I've been asked, and give you a little bit of a toolbox tour as well. So the short story is you're looking at the toolbox I'm taking overseas. This is it. It's exactly 50 pounds. It is an SKB toolbox, but it's very, very similar to like the Pelican 1510 or the 1560. They're pretty much all the same. So the short story for this particular toolbox is shipping tools overseas has become really, really expensive. So it was going to be about $3,000 to ship my full Snap-on toolbox overseas. And so I thought about creative ways where I could still get stuff done and not have to go through that expense. And also considering that's just one way, that's just getting it there. That's not even, thinking about how to get it back one day when we want to come back and get all my tools back. So for all of you guys who are preparing to go and maybe you're going to do the missionary pilot thing, I hope this can be a helpful resource about what you can do with just 50 pounds of tools. So open it up. First things first, just to stop everything from rattling around in here with any dead space, I have this foam kneeling pad, but this has become like an absolute must. I love this thing, and now it's like a permanent fixture here. But I've got gloves here just in the top, and then you can see that everything is organized in these red Milwaukee canvas bags. Now, I admit this is not ideal. Like, I wouldn't necessarily pick this if I had every option available to me. I did very much consider doing foam, like shadow foam in here with 3 different layers that you could pull out, but I actually laid it all out on paper, and everything I have in here wouldn't fit if it was shadowed. So I chose these red canvas bags. You might be thinking about, well, at the end of the day, how do you know if a tool is missing? So each bag is a little bit like a drawer in a toolbox. And then what I'm going to do is laminate a sort of a checklist card in here, and it's going to tell me what should be in each bag. And that way, at the end of the day, I can pull that card out, look at each bag, and just make sure that nothing has gone missing. And you guys in aviation, that's super, super important. So what I'm going to do is I'll take this all apart, I'll lay it out on the bench, and you can see what you think. Here it is all unpacked on the bench here. And so I'm just going to go through each bag individually, starting with what in aviation we probably use the most, and that's 1/4 inch. I've got a set of 1/4 inch here, a screwdriver, ratcheting screwdriver, an assortment of bits, a round handle ratchet, 3 extensions, and then this is a small screwdriver, so it is reversible. It can be either in the long position or short position, and then also each bit. The head of each bit is reversible here. This is really, really helpful for smaller things, for terminal strips and that sort of application, as well as a ratchet that can accept screwdriver bits. Now this is particularly helpful, I find, in most applications, especially if you can't, it's just for if you can't get a screwdriver in there, this is your next best option. And it also has an adapter here as a 1/4 inch ratchet. And then here I have an assortment of adapters for drills and impacts to be able to take sockets, and then different adapters to go from, in this case, 3/8 to 1/2 inch. So that's our first bag. Now, you'll see a lot on this bench that you think, what on earth do you have a 1/2 inch impact set for airplanes? And the short answer is, I also wanted to include tools that would be really helpful on vehicles. I'm going to be doing my own vehicle maintenance, so I actually have a mix of inch and metric sockets and wrenches on the bench here. And speaking of wrenches, I do have a wrench roll here. It's a little bit out of frame, but this has from 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch, and it is in inch and metric. Okay, so one way that you can save space is to leave a duplicate behind. What do I mean by duplicate? Well, for example, 19 and 3/4 it's the same size. 16 and 5/8 the same size, as well as 7/16 and 11, and 5/16 and 8. Those are all the same. So in this case, instead of bringing two of them, a 15, or excuse me, a 16 and a 5/8, I just brought a 5/8 for both. And then going over to the 3/8 bag, I have a swivel head, 3/8 ratchet, 3 extensions. I have a whole host of different organizers and swivels, and then these sockets for going from 1/4 inch to screwdriver bit and 3/8 to screwdriver bit. And then I just 3D printed this little magnetic organizer here. Spark plug socket, and then deep and shallow, and it's the same as the wrenches, so from 1/4 inch to 3/4 in both inch and metric. Okay, moving over here to the pliers. If there's one bag I could probably trim down, it would be this one, but some of these I feel like I just can't live without, and we'll see. When we come back from our first term, I'm sure this box will change a lot as I get some experience, but this is what I've come up with right now. So tin snips, a really good heavy duty pair of scissors, parallel Nipex parallel pliers, the water pump pliers, just side cutting pliers, needle nose, Van pliers. These are designed for gripping on the sort of the nose of the plier for turning out stripped fasteners. Electrical pliers, as well as a stripper, and the safety wire pliers. And then moving in, this is the 1/2 inch bag, and this is specifically for working on vehicles. These rails are metric only, so I believe this is from 10 to 27 with no skips. That's the whole set. And then I have a 12.32 millimeter, or 30, excuse me, millimeter socket for Toyota axle nuts. 2 extensions, and then I have a full set of inch and metric Allen keys, and they're just there because there's space in this bag. Okay, moving over here a little bit. This is kind of a catch-all bag. I've got a couple chargers in here, just a simple 6-inch dial caliper, mirror, magnet. This is for removing Schrader valves. I do have a Streamlight inspection flashlight. I also do have a Streamlight switchblade, which is a much bigger form factor light that I actually left at home, but that lives in this box as well. A knife, measuring tape, and then a recent purchase of mine is a Fluke 101, which is very, very inexpensive and very simple. It just has voltage, AC, DC, millivolt, continuity, and resistance, and it does not have an amperage function. That's not a function I really ever use, or at least up to this point I haven't used it. So I had a Fluke, what model was it? Anyway, it was a much more expensive model that totally quit working on me. So I decided to replace it with this, and we'll see how it goes. And I've got leads and then alligator clip adapters for the leads in there. And then this is the rest of the stuff that sort of lives in the bottom of the toolbox because it doesn't fit in any of the bags. So I do have a snap-on flex head 1/2 inch ratchet here, the kneeling pad you saw earlier, a file. I do have this grabber, and I absolutely love this thing. If you're like me and you're as clumsy as ever and you're dropping fasteners down in the engine bay, this little grabber is a lifesaver. Some gloves for working on a hot engine, a grip mat. This is so helpful, I find. It's just a flexible silicone parts tray, and that is really nice for working on cowlings, or if you're working on a motorcycle gas tank, that's really nice. Got a square here, and then this box holds a lot of other accessories. So for example, I have a deburring tool, a couple of Sharpies, a brass punch, a brass non-marring punch. Then I have some needle files, a countersink tool, which is helpful for deburring, a few punches, as well as a center punch. Then here is an automatic center punch for working with aluminum. That's pretty nice. And then 4 different shape picks. Well, guys, that's it. That's everything that's in the toolbox. And I know that you might be thinking that's not a lot of tools, and I've certainly thought that as well. And when you're trying to pack a toolbox in 50 pounds, you just have to come to terms with the fact that you can't take everything. Something has to stay behind. I have a full set of ratcheting wrenches that I would really like to bring, but in the end, just a normal, reliable box end wrench, it's going to do the same thing, it's just not as quick. If you really took a sober look at your toolbox, as I have been forced to, you'll realize that a lot is there for doing things quickly or doing things really efficiently, not necessarily just getting the job done. So this toolbox is more focused on just purely doing the maintenance that needs to be done, maybe not in necessarily the most efficient manner. So again, I really would love to hear what you think of the box, what you think is good or what you think might be missing. I'd really love your feedback. And I will make another follow-up video to this when we come back of our first term about what I've learned and how I've used it and the things that really I should have brought this time around. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate you engaging with us in this process. And yeah, thanks so much.